Hi, this is the day after Thanksgiving 2017. I'm at my daughter Jeanette's house, and we've had a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving meal with friends and family. And we're now just going to go through some questions that kind of chronicle my life and see where we go from here.
Yes. Well, Dad, we want to remember you always and have this as a gift to share with our children and our children's children. So the first question
Yep.
is, what do you remember most about your mom?
Well, my mom was the most loving human being, loved her children, would have fought bears, lions, tigers, dinosaurs to protect us from anything that might be harmful to us. So she was a very, very, very rigorous warrior and a very loving mother, and took on 2 jobs after my father died when I was 9 years old. So she was a very heroic woman.
Okay, what was most important to her? Do you think, and it was Virginia Conlon.
Virginia Predmore
She was
Rush
Virginia?
Conlon.
Okay.
Yeah, she was a fighter. She really was a fighter. She came from an Irish family in Pittsburgh, and her parents owned a bar in Pittsburgh, and she came up growing up as a daughter of a bartender, a bar owner, and so yeah, she was a pretty tough lady.
Wow.
And justice was really important to her.
Strong.
Strong, very justice and integrity, truthfulness, all of those honesty, all those things that make up a good spirit.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about your dad?
My dad died when I was 9, so what do you know when you're 9? You don't know much, and you don't know enough questions to ask. So he took a lot of answers to the grave with him, and I'm sad that that happened. I wish every child had the foresight to ask their parents questions that they think about after their parents are too late, they're gone, and they can't ask them the questions anymore. So every child ought to set up a list of questions that they ask their parents early on before the parents leave.
Do you remember much about what was important to him? I know you were 9, but before, do you remember
Well-
what he liked to do, or?
Well, he was an accountant. He was in a tank corps in the army. He didn't go into combat, but he was in the tank corps, and he didn't serve very long. All I remember is something about his brother was killed or something, so they took him out of the army early because of they had a rule that two sons couldn't be in the military at the same time if one was killed. So
Interesting.
yeah. Anyway, so he was taken out of the army, and then he went on to work for General Electric. I still have his ring. That has a little diamond chip for each 5 years that he worked for them. And I remember he gave us football uniforms when he was at the VA hospital in Chicago before he died in 1955. And he gave us 2 Schwinn bikes that were just incredible for Christmas one year. And those are the outstanding moments. And going fishing with him.
So what was
Lake
him? He
Michigan.
loved fishing. What
Loved
was
to
his?
fish. He loved to fish. We had a trout line that we would roll, and throw away out, and
How fun.
run the hooks down and wait for the perch to bite and pull them in.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, that's great memories.
yeah, those are fun memories.
Okay, so tell me about your career and how did you choose your career?
God gives you a path, and you don't know how it happens or why it happens. You just know that it happens, and the process by which I found the state chamber work, the work in the Chamber of Commerce, was just magical. It was God sent. It was a beautiful path that I had no idea was happening, and it's a long, very detailed story, but very quickly, let me just say that I came out of the military 13 months in Vietnam as an artilleryman, and went to work for a newspaper outside of Chicago, the Berwyn Cicero Life newspapers, and I wrote a column for them. And my job was to go around all the bars and strip joints and restaurants and entertainment centers and trying to find out who's coming in next week and all that, and write a story about them, keep a column on all the stuff. And one of my clients I would do advertising for was Fred Harvey Hotel and Restaurant Company, and they hired me away from the paper, and they put me in there. I was their Eastern.
So you left the paper
Yeah, I left the paper.
because they were going to pay you more?
Yeah, they were going to pay me
Okay,
more
okay.
and make me the Eastern Division Advertising Director for Fred Harvey Hotel and Restaurant Company. And so my first office was down in the bottom floor of one of the concrete bunkers over the Illinois Tollway, that, you know, where you go underneath
Yeah.
it. Yeah. And so that was, and my sign was on the door down there. The only person that ever came down to see my sign was the Pepsi man who would change the tanks
Oh, no.
down there. And so then they promoted me to National Advertising Director. I don't know why. And sent me out
Wow.
to
What a
California.
promotion.
Yeah, I know. And so,
So that's why you moved from
Illinois to
to
California.
California,
Yeah.
is because of your
Fred Harvey.
promotion.
Fred Harvey.
Fred Harvey
Yeah.
restaurant.
Yeah.
And then now is Fred Harvey still operating?
No, they're no longer.
Oh.
The company that bought them out was a company called Amfac in Hawaii, and they just killed the company, unfortunately. It was over 100 years old when I joined them. And
Okay. And what led you to the chamber? Because that's where you ended up.
well, longer story short, I went to work for a magazine for a short period of time, 6 months. Terrible job, and said, this is it, I can't stand it anymore. 4 presidents, by the way, came in and went out of Fred Harvey when I was there, and I wrote a 5-page letter to the last president and said, here's all the things that I see happening to this company, and it's a wonderfully historic company. We can't hurt it, we can't kill it, we can't let it fail, and here are the things I would recommend, and here's what I'd like to help do if you'll accept these as good ideas, and if not, you know, accept it as my resignation. And they did. So
Oh, they did?
They did,
Oh, no.
they
And
did.
how did you get over that? I mean, that must have been
I went and got another job, is all. I
you
found,
just said, okay,
yeah,
that's
went
not
and
my
got-
path.
That's not where I'm supposed to go, so I didn't go there. And after 6 months at the magazine, whatever it was, I said, this is not for me. And I looked up the closest employment agency to the phone booth. You know, they had phone booths back then, no cell
Phone
phones.
booth?
No cell phones. And I said, I'm going to go talk to somebody and see what's available. And this woman said, come right over. I sat down. She said, what do you want to do when you grow up? I said, I want to help people. She said, you ever thought about going to the Chamber of Commerce work? I said, what the hell's the Chamber of Commerce? And she told me, and I said, well, no, I never even knew that they existed. So she gave me Fred Harvey, she gave me Bill Dower at the San Francisco Chamber, and she gave me John Hay at the California State Chamber. And so I went down to San Francisco and got a job as an assistant manager.
Were they hiring at the time and she knew
Yeah.
it?
Well,
And
I don't
that's
know
how
if she knew it or not, but Scott, anyway, hired me as his assistant. And after a year and a half, the San Rafael leadership came down to San Francisco and talked to Bill Dower and said, we're looking for an exec. Bill said, this young man is on his way up, and you know.
Ooh, that was good.
So he gave me the job. They gave me the job, and 3 years later, I'd run the chamber for 3 years in San Rafael, and they said, "It's time to move on, Mr. Rush." I said, "You're right." So I did, and John Hay hired me at the State Chamber, and I opened up a file about the third day I was there, and it was the
Is that when we moved to
Sacramento.
Fair Oaks?
Sacramento, yeah,
So that's because
Fair
of the
Oaks.
promotion that you had.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I went there, and this woman,
And that's where Dawn and Adam were born. Is
yeah.
In the,
Well, Dawn was born in San Francisco. Adam was born in Sacramento.
okay, so at the time you were at the San Rafael Chamber, was Dawn born?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, and then so she was still very young.
Yes, she was
2 or 3, and then
2 years old. Yeah,
then you took the promotion
yeah.
to go
It's
to
actually a new job.
Sacramento,
It's not
or a
really
new a new
a new
job.
job, new
So it's
job.
not a step up in.
No,
the,
it's
in
not.
the-
No, it has nothing
okay.
to do with each other.
So
They're
then,
all,
why would they say it's time for you to move on? Does that mean that you've already mastered this level and we need you
No,
to?
they just.
What does that mean?
Well, I was doing too many things, and I think I found out some things that they didn't want me to find out about in terms of money and all that stuff. So they didn't want me to be digging too deep.
So they
I
said, let's just put him in a different
let's
place.
get this guy out of here. He's
Knows too much.
knows too much. Yeah.
Okay, so then you went to Sacramento.
Sacramento.
What year was that? Do you remember? 71?
I left there and went to the U.S. Chamber in 1981. So I was at the U.S. Chamber. No,
No, 81 was
81
was Dallas. So that
no.
coming to Texas. That was here, I think.
Yeah, 81 to 86 is when I went to the U.S. Chamber.
Yes. So this is.
So this is 4 years prior, 77,
Oh, okay.
77 to 81.
Okay. So because I think Adam was born in California
Yeah,
at the Fair Oaks
Fair
house. And so that's when you were working for the State Chamber of
Right.
California.
Right.
In
I was there 4
Sacramento.
years.
And you were there 4 years.
4 years, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what do you think made you successful at chamber work? You know, because clearly that was your path.
I enjoyed it because I had an ability to have tangible impact upon improving the quality of life for individuals that were working in the industry, and it really felt good to be able to help people do what they wanted to do. And so
So you were always wanting to kind of help people, because it sounds like you told
it's
them
the
that.
greatest gift of all
when
is
you
to
came
make
back
it better
from-
than you found it.
Yes.
That's the key. If everybody followed that mission, is to make things better than you found them. That's all you have to do. That's people. You run into them in a Walmart. You make them smile. You've left them better than you found them. That's how we get this world to improve. Not through some political anarchy or some overthrow of government or some protest or whatever. You do it by making people good. You make them feel better and working together and understand that they're all one family.